Hi everyone, I'm Sebastian Jacob Manuel,
And I'm Andrea Portugal.
and we form Group 1 of MST, here to present to you our seminal paper, Public Perception and Acceptance Analysis of the Obleck Speedbreaker. Now, before the proper presentation begins, we did drop a video sample just for you guys to get an idea on what an Obleck Speedbreaker is all about and why its public perception and acceptance needs to be studied.
Speed bumps are a common road safety feature that can sometimes be quite annoying, especially when they are too close together. However, there are now smart speed bumps that can provide a more comfortable ride for drivers. These speed bumps are made of a non-Newtonian fluid that softens when passed over at low speeds. Conversely, if a driver speeds over it, the bump will feel hard, just like a conventional speed bump.
And now for the abstract. Speed breakers are typically traffic calming devices and are extensively used to reduce traffic speeds on local streets. Conventional speed breakers are typically made out of concrete or asphalt. Apart from traffic calming, these have many disadvantages like wear and tear of vehicle components, noise pollution, health issues like back pains, distress experienced by the drivers, etc. To overcome these limitations, non-Newtonian fluid speed breakers are thought of as a better alternative. This paper aims to represent its public perception and acceptance analysis of Obleck speed breakers through data collected from the survey of more than 1,000 vehicles and 220 recorded responses, including two-wheeler, three-wheeler, and four-wheeler normal vehicles, as well as heavy-loaded vehicles.
So why did we choose this paper? We chose this paper because it highlights how important communication is even in areas that are outside communication, like road safety and engineering. This study focuses on introducing a new kind of speed breaker made from a non-Newtonian fluid called Obleck. What makes it more interesting for us communication students is how the researchers didn't stop at just building and testing the speed breaker. They also made an effort to understand how the public would feel about it. The survey asked questions about things like discomfort, safety, and noise, and overall acceptance. The responses were then organized into ratings like good, average, and poor, and visualized with charts to make the findings easier to understand. The study is a perfect example of how communications through surveys, feedbacks, and data presentation can make or break a success of a new idea. For us, it shows how important it is to listen to your audience and gather their inputs and present the results in a way that's clear and persuasive. It's a reminder that even the best innovation needs a strong communication to gain a public support.
Now, before we get to the contents of the report itself, what is an oobleck? Now, an oobleck is a non-Newtonian fluid material which is a blend of cornstarch and water that behaves like a solid or a liquid depending on how much force is applied. Now, what is a non-Newtonian fluid? A non-Newtonian fluid are fluids that do not follow Newton's law of viscosity. The viscosity changes when under force or stress to either become more solid or more liquid.
Now, what is a speed breaker? A speed breaker is a device which is used to control the speed of the vehicle passing over them. It can be used majorly near schools, hospitals, and colleges to slow down the speed of the vehicle, so it is very easy to cross the road for children and senior citizens. Second, it should not cause any vehicle damage and does not cause any discomfort to the drivers as well as the passengers who those traveling along it.
Now, before we get to the contents of the report itself, what is an oobleck? Now, an oobleck is a non-Newtonian fluid material which is a blend of cornstarch and water that behaves like a solid or a liquid depending on how much force is applied. Now, what is a non-Newtonian fluid? A non-Newtonian fluid are fluids that do not follow Newton's law of viscosity. The viscosity changes when under force or stress to either become more solid or more liquid. Other classifications of a non-Newtonian fluid are honey and condiments like ketchup. Now, to discuss the contents, the population of the study refers to all the vehicle users and road users who interacted with the speed breakers, including the conventional and the Obleck speed breakers. For the sample used in this study, the sample used is the 220 recorded responses collected from the various drivers, the two-wheelers, three-wheelers, four-wheelers, and heavy vehicles who passed over the Obleck speed breaker over the 15-day period. Now, the parameter is the representation of the population's overall characteristics. Based on factors like discomfort, noise, or car damage, it might be the actual degree of public opinion, safety assessment, and acceptability of the Obleck speed breakers in comparison to the traditional ones for this study. As for the statistics, this paper uses descriptive statistics because it focuses on summarizing and presenting data collected through the sample from the surveys.
So for the independent variable, the type of speed breaker, which is Obleck speed breaker versus conventional speed breaker, this is what the study is manipulating or comparing to assess its impact. For the dependent variable, the public perception and acceptance metrics such as first, safety, second, durability, third, levels of discomfort, vehicle damage, noise, and vibrations, fourth, visibility and adaptability to traffic flow. These variables are the outcomes being measured based on the types of speed breaker used. For the levels of measurement, the nominal scales, which is the type of speed breaker, which is Obleck and conventional, and yes or no responses to questions like, can this speed breaker can be used daily? And for the ordinal scale, is the rating of experience such as good, average, or poor, represent ordered categories with no fixed intervals. For the interval scale and ratio scales, this is not explicitly mentioned in the study.
Now, for the method of gathering, the data was gathered over 15 days at a moderately populated city area. The Obleck speed breaker was installed at a strategic location to capture a diverse flow of vehicle types. Metal strips and nuts and bolts were used for the installation, ensuring it can handle various vehicle categories, which is the two-wheelers, three-wheelers, four-wheelers, and heavy vehicles. Drivers were requested to respond to a survey questionnaire without disrupting traffic or pedestrians. The survey included 11 questions, of which 8 was focused on evaluating traditional speed breakers, such as its discomfort, its safety, durability, noise, and vehicle damage, with 3 addressed to the necessity and acceptance of the Obleck speed breaker. From the over 1,000 vehicles past the speed breaker and the 220 responses that were recorded for analysis, these were then categorized and rated good, average, or poor, and tabulated for further analysis.
And for the result, the speed breaker performs effectively on the actual site based on the study conducted on Obleck's property. The shock absorbing capacity is decreased by the usage of Obleck as a material of the speed breaker. We have observed that in comparison to the traditional speed breaker, there was less noise or vibration when a vehicle passed over to the proposed speed breaker. We have concluded that there is a little discomfort or harm to the vehicle caused by non-Newtonian fluid called Obleck.
Now, last but not least, as communication students, how will this paper help us in our course in the future? Now, this paper will help us in our communication studies by showing how crucial it is to understand and involve the audience in any kind of project. The researcher uses surveys to gather information about the new speed breaker, which directly ties to what we learn about collecting and analyzing feedback. It demonstrates the importance of asking the right questions and presenting the results clearly, which are skills we'll use in campaigns, market research, and public relations. It also highlights how to translate technical information into insights the public can relate to, a skill we'll need when bridging gaps between experts and audiences. The use of visuals like charts to convey findings reinforces how critical it is to make data understandable and engaging. By learning from this study, we can see how effective communication can drive acceptance and decision making. In the future, this understanding will help us design surveys, craft messages, and engage audiences in meaningful ways. It also shows how good communication isn't just about talking, it's about listening, analyzing, and responding effectively. This paper is a great example of how communication skills can apply across industries, making it relevant no matter what field we pursue. So, I'd like to say thank you all. I hope you learned something new, and we hope to see you next time. Bye bye!